I like to think my superpower is simplifying chaos. I don't have to be as crazy as them. I actually try to mold the chaos in a way that makes them take off faster.
Peter Saddington, your big game hunter. And guys, we have our sights on someone special today. Only a mother could invest in this idea.
Made this like super artistic.
That is actually absolutely correct. And that's a very, very astute assessment, actually.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of VC Hunting with me, Peter Saddington, your big game hunter. You guys are here to learn the untold stories of venture capital, as well as knowing the money. Today, we have a wonderful person, Danielle D'Agostado, a managing partner and COO of Alchemist Accelerator, a Bay Area early stage B2B company and a fund. Thank you so much, Danielle, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So let's just jump right in. As a VC hunter, I do a lot of digging, so I have a lot of great questions for you. But first and foremost, tell me, how did you get into venture capital, and what is so exciting about venture capital to keep you there?
Well, I am probably more on the contrarian side. I did not want to get into venture capital. I had no idea what it was all about. I grew up in a more traditional industry down in Southern California type family, and I was only up in the Bay Area to go to school, and I was planning on going right back. And I ended up staying for a job, and then I got looped in to Alchemist through a mutual connection. And the founder, Ravi Balani, was looking for someone to run the program. And so I decided to stay and try it out. It suited my skill sets really well. So I was more on the operations side. And then from there, that threw me into this new world of startups and VC and capital. And I've been doing that for over 6 years now. So I would definitely say I'm not one of those people that have been fascinated or enthralled with the VC world. I came at it from a different angle, but it is definitely my world now.
So what did you have potentially waiting back for you down SoCal that could have taken your time instead of staying up in NorCal?
Just family. I wanted, I didn't want to be away from my family too long. And so that's why I rushed through college to get it all done. And so I got it done and was planning on going back and starting my life there, whatever that would look like. But I got opportunities up here and tried them out.
This is something that none of you guys out there watching or listening would know about, but I learned early on that Danielle finished your undergrad in 2.5 years, and so did I. And you said that you said that we should make a club. So what was just a quick question? What was your major, and why did you blaze through it? I can give you my answer in a second.
Well, I chose media studies. I wanted to go into marketing, actually, but I am a pretty efficient person. So I found the quickest way to get a degree. And it just requires a lot of hours outside of a typical school year through, I started college in high school, actually, taking summer school classes. And then once you understand how units work and what exactly you need to do to fulfill requirements, it's a numbers game from there. So I just figured out what I needed to take and took summer school from senior year, and then I got it done.
That's really awesome. That's basically the same as me. You're very assertive and initiative individual, which, by the way, is great for venture capital. And I'm sure you already know this. I'm sure people have been like, Danielle, she's going to crush it because she's got that kind of tenacity. But that is what is required to finish school in 2.5 years. That's exactly what I did. I went 3 semesters, fall, spring, summer, 23 credits. I just crushed it. 2.5 years. I was done with it because I wanted to get out into the world. And for you, getting out into the world, coming up with Ravi Balani at Alchemist Accelerator, he said, hey, Danielle, she's the gal for me. She's the one that can take this operation and really professionalize it. So talk to us about Alchemist Accelerator. What do you do there, and how is your thesis formed, and why is your thesis so special? Why is it so different, and how does it, I wouldn't say ensure, but how does it help companies and startups that go through your accelerator be successful?
Yeah. So when I met Ravi, he was pitching this. Again, I had no idea what about accelerator, startups, venture capital, none of it. All I heard was, I need help running this program, and I have startups and companies. And I was like, sure, this sounds like something I could do. But the idea behind Alchemist was formed when he was working at DFJ, and he was putting on these educational series for people thinking about starting companies. And a lot of the people that attended were from corporations and thinking about building B2B businesses. And so he was asking them why they were coming to these educational series, and they basically told him they had no place else to go, no place that would teach them how to build a B2B business back in 2000, 8, 9, 10, when the premier accelerator was YC, and they focused on consumer companies. And so he had a light bulb moment and decided that is what he would focus on. He would build a B2B accelerator, early stage. And so basically help those companies get off the ground. And that continues to be our thesis and focus today. Our mandate is we are trying to build the best B2B companies in the world, basically. We're looking for the next billion-dollar businesses. And so we've also have kept our classes small. We've capped them at 25 companies a batch. Where others have grown their class sizes, we've remained small. We want to make sure we're serving each company as individually as possible through our resources. And then we've also have a longer program, which again is unique to Alchemist. We put them through a 6-month program instead of a shorter program because the B2B sales cycles are longer.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. So on a couple of those fronts, we find that we're very unique. And companies that have gone through other accelerators will come to Alchemist, or even ones that haven't. They'll come to Alchemist and say, I know you can help me build a B2B company. And so that's what we aim to do.
Well, I have to give you a lot of credit. In April 23rd of 2018, from the AWS Startup Day, you said that Alchemist Accelerator needed to be the YC of the enterprise. I'm quoting you here. And you also ranked platinum in the SARP, the Seed Accelerator Ranks Project list. So you guys are certainly have proved that you guys are at top, kind of not top dog, but certainly one of the top dogs out there. So what makes you guys different, other than kind of constraining your class size and making sure that you have a lot of intimacy with those startups and a lot of coaching with those startups? What do you guys do differently? What's your secret sauce? What's the special ingredient that has helped you obviously get up to these higher platinum ranks?
Yeah, so I would also attribute that to the type of program we're putting on. I actually call it an MBA for startups, basically. So this 6-month program, we are meeting with the companies on a weekly basis, and we've created a structured curriculum, which is focused a lot on accelerating sales and fundraising. And for first-time founders or highly technical founders who've never done this before, this is what they need in the early stages. They need someone to tell them, this is what you're supposed to do. Now, of course, it's not an exact science. Things don't always work for everyone. But what we do is we tell them, this is what's worked for a lot of other companies in your same shoes. And then, so basically we create a horizontal learning platform for all of our companies. And then the verticalization comes through our network. So we have an extensive network that we've built, over 20,000 contacts and growing, of founders, mentors, corporate representatives, other startup founders. And so, and that's actually, it's global. We have 40% of our companies being international and coming from all over the place. And we've also just announced that we're launching in Europe. We also have partnerships with a group in India. We have a partnership with a group in Taiwan. So we're growing our network globally to make sure that the companies that come through Alchemist have access, and help build, get into the right contacts wherever they need to go.
Wow, that's really exciting. Now, you used a word there that I had kind of honed in on when I looked at your LinkedIn. On your LinkedIn, it says that you're a life coach and a chief mentor at the European, or what were, or maybe still are, European Innovation Academy. Now, this makes a lot of sense in terms of what you just told me, that you enjoy getting intimate, working with these classes, startups, being a coach, being a mentor. But there's a word here, life coach. Tell us more about that. Well, like, that's like a really like cool position, job to have. And it can be looked at differently from a VC standpoint than like just being a life coach. So how do you leverage both of those maybe passions, or correct me if I'm wrong, those interests, and how do you help your companies and your startups with that, the life coaching and the chief mentoring that you do? That's really cool.
It's fun. So there's a separate group actually called the European Innovation Academy, and they put on a hyper accelerator during the summer. So it's for students, it's a study abroad program for students. And they teach these students how to build a startup in 4 weeks. And they bring different mentors in from the Valley to help them do that. And so I've been working with them for the last 4 years. And so is Ravi. And we come in and we help them in different ways. And so I have been a life coach, which is basically when things are falling apart, they just need someone to talk to.
You're the shoulder to cry on.
Yeah, exactly. I've been the chief. I've been the life coach. The chief mentor is working specifically with a group of companies at this organization to help them through those weeks. Again, using our expertise from the startup world, this is supposed to be an education, a learning program for them, and teaching them how to work through certain hurdles as they build through whatever idea they have. And I've been doing that for the last few years, but more recently they've been bringing us in more just for the investor side of things, to give them the investor point of view. So Ravi speaks on fundraising. I go and give them pitch feedback or investor feedback one-on-one. So I've done different things for that organization over the years. It's been a lot of fun though.
That's really awesome. As I was kind of doing some more digging and research on you, Danielle, it seemed like this life coaching, mentoring is a theme. Now, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like a theme that kind of surrounds your work and your professional life. Would you say that a big part of your success is that you had mentors or that you had coaches that helped you? I don't know if this answer is true or not, but I'm asking the question. Was there someone that was a big part of your success? Is mentoring and life coaching something that really helped you get to where you are now and achieve what you've achieved, and that's why it's so important to you? Or is this just a theme that I'm kind of snagging out of thin air here?
I wouldn't say it's, I would say it all stems from a personal coaching through family, seeing my parents work hard, seeing other members of my family work hard and come through different struggles.
I love that.
I would say that it comes from that, and how I was raised and brought up has led me to this point. And so if I can give back in some way by, and I have.
Are you okay with sharing a little bit about how you were raised? What?
Sure.
Yeah, tell us. Where are you coming from?
Yeah, so I come from Southern California, so not too far south. And I grew up in an area called Burbank, California. But more importantly, I am Italian American. I have, and family is a very big proponent of that culture, like others. I had working parents growing up. They were always very hardworking, and they instilled that in us. They made us responsible at a young age, made sure that if we wanted certain things that we worked hard for it. You know, and by we, I mean me and my sister, we had to get jobs during high school. You know, it wasn't an all work. Yeah, they taught us responsibility at a young age, and that I've carried. You know, we both carried with us. I would say we're both pretty financially successful and responsible, and you know that's brought us into a place where you know we enjoy certain things because of that. And so yeah, I would say, I mean, it wasn't easy, but it taught us a lot. And I think more importantly, I'm seeing what I like to do is give back to people who might not necessarily have that kind of guidance growing up.
Yes.
I actually, you know, working with kids, tutoring, starting at a younger age and trying to provide that, I think is you know, very beneficial. And for personal reasons, it's outside of the VC world, but if I can translate that into my work as well by helping students who are also thinking about entrepreneurship or even what to do after college. You know, I feel like a lot of young adults struggle with that, especially when you have a one-track mind all the way through university, right? You blaze through it, or you think like, okay, my goal is to finish college, and then you get out and you're like, okay, now what? Right? And there's a big responsibility if you think like figure out your whole life after it's been planned for the last 18 years. And so you get out, and I think there's a lot of weight on young adults to do that. You know, to do that.
Let me ask the question then. If you were to sit down with a freshly minted, right, just got out of college last week, like, what would your advice to them be? Because I mean, you and I share a similar experience, and we blazed through university. I didn't make any friends.
I didn't either.
but I think if I can put words in your mouth, I think it's because you and I are maybe mission oriented, or we had a goal that we wanted to get to, and we wanted to get out of college to get there. But certainly I did. But to your average newly minted, you know, graduate, what would you say? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I actually get a lot of student groups that come through Silicon Valley looking to understand what accelerators are, VC or startups. And my advice is always, it's okay that you don't know what to do. Take this as an opportunity to explore, to try different things, figure out what your skill sets are, what you like, what you don't like. And then once you really find something that you love, that's where you're going to put all your heart and passion into. But you kind of you don't know that, right? You don't know what you like. I mean, you might have an idea, but even me, I thought I wanted to get into marketing. And so I went and got a job at Adobe doing digital marketing.
Right.
And it was great. It's great for your resume, but I didn't like the work. You know, it definitely was not the reality that I had put in my head. And so, you know, I knew very quickly that wasn't going, you know, that wasn't for me. And hence why I was looking for something new. Not that I thought, you know, startups was going to be the answer, but I was pleasantly surprised. And it's, you know, and being up in the Bay Area, it is it's a blessing that we get to be surrounded by such innovation and startups, you know, so close by. The rest of, you know, we definitely live in a bubble. I would say the rest of even the state doesn't get to be as close as we are. And so, you know, you only know what you know by what's around you. And so I think it exposes a lot of opportunities that you wouldn't necessarily be aware of. And so, yeah, that's what I tell the groups. And also I tell them, I also make the reality known about what startup life is really like. It is hard. It is a lot of hard work. It is not a TechCrunch article. It's, you know, and so I think a lot of students are, they're fascinated by it. And they also see all these big tech companies, all this money going around, and they think, wow, like this opportunity. But not enough people talk about how hard it is, how much you give up, how much you need to sacrifice. This isn't a job that you get paid well for. You don't sleep well. You don't really have, your family, your personal relationships. I mean, all of it is a sacrifice, and it's not for everybody. And there are plenty of ways to make money that are much easier than building a startup.
Right, without sacrificing everything.
Without sacrifice, you could still have a life and make a lot of money. Just startups are not your answer, right? You almost have to be a little crazy, a little delusional in believing in something so much where you think that it's all worth it, right? So unless you're at that level with an idea, I tell them, like, I'm not telling you not to, but think long and hard about what you're going to have to give up in order to make it a reality.
I think that's a great attribute of a mentor or life coach, is someone who's able to communicate transparently that, hey, this is the reality, right? It's not a TechCrunch article. It's not ringing the bell at IPO, 2 years later after you get into the game, right? This is a hard fought battle. It's a passion. It really is the startup world in the Bay Area it's a passion world. Everyone's searching for their passion, and they're willing to have all the rest of their world burn around them for that singular passion. It's the passion economy out there. I want to pivot a little bit, because you do spend a lot of time helping a lot of other people out, going to conferences, speaking. And I watched this one where you were at the International Women in Tech Conference, and that they had this panel, and it was talking about how women-led startups need to leverage abundant resources in Silicon Valley. And my question to you, being a woman in Silicon Valley, is what are some of the challenges that women or minorities are facing that you've experienced? Because that was a lot of what the panel was talking about. And has that changed, or is there something that you would want to change?
Personally, I can't say that I've experienced a lot, because I haven't actually gone out and fundraised, but I do know from hearing from our female founders that it is hard. You're not taken as seriously. Sadly enough, some of our female founders have been treated more as date prospects than actual, funding, partners, right? Or it's less on the customer side, although I know it happens, but I've heard it a lot more on the VC side. I've heard some stories, and it's not fun, unfortunately. But I will say that because there's been more awareness to the lack of diversity, especially in venture capital, the push that has been to get more women in VC has increased. There are more VC-led or women-led VC funds now, women looking to help each other out and provide guidance. There's also, because of that, I feel like the resources have increased as well, because there are funds that only invest in women or minority-led companies. There are more resources than ever, and growing, I think, for women building companies or minority-led companies. That's and awesome. They should take full advantage of it. I know it's hard to find sometimes. I've been talking to different groups that are looking to help make those resources more apparent to those types of groups, which is great. But they exist. They exist, just like grant money. you just need to go. You just need to go and find it, and not be, and not be, what's the word?
Don't shy away from it.
Yeah, don't shy away from it. Like, I would say, don't be ashamed, but just go in and take full advantage of what's provided now.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Here's I got a couple more questions for you, then we'll be close to finishing out here. My first question is, I want to get back to your accelerator, Alchemist Accelerator, because this is a real opportunity for you to communicate to the world, like, what is this all about? And you guys have had some really great accolades, really great successes under your belt, for sure. And everyone out there needs to make sure that you go over to alchemistaccelerator.com to check that out. But here's the question. Why should someone pitch to your firm? Why should a startup founder who has a plethora and cornucopia of different accelerators, early stage, seed stage, what have you stage, that could help them out? Why should they pitch to you guys? And what would you say would be your primary differentiator?
Yeah, what I tell companies is that, one, why do it alone? Even if you've built a company before, there are a lot of learnings that have come through hundreds of companies within Alchemist alone. I mean, and of course all
You've
other
done over
accelerators
200 now,
too.
right?
We've done over 3 actually. And, you know, there's a bunch of learnings that have come through that can be used for your venture. So why try to do it from scratch? No need to recreate the wheel here. More importantly, though, as I've mentioned, we are the premier B2B accelerator in the country. Even from that rankings project, we're the top B2B accelerator. Some even say the world. And so if you are looking to get you know, advice and connections into a premier enterprise B2B network, Alchemist is the place to go. You know, you mentioned my talk at AWS, and I mentioned when you're looking to evaluate different accelerators,
Right.
go talk to the alums that have gone through an accelerator. Don't take a partner's word for it. Go and talk to other companies that have been through, understand what the accelerator provides, what they don't provide, to understand if it's worth your time or not. There are thousands of accelerators out there, you know, but there's only, I would say, a good handful of ones that are credible and add to your credibility as a startup, which you need in the early days in order to get into certain conversations, either with customers or investors. And by having that stamp, that tells other investors, at least, who understand the network, that, oh, you've been verified in some way. There's been some diligence that has been done, where it's worth my time to have a conversation with you. And so I would say that if you are building a B2B company, there's no other place like Alchemist for that.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. And one of the things that you really, if I can go back to the AWS Startup Day, one thing that I really loved about your talk there is there was a question that asked is how can we make sure that we can validate as quickly as possible? And you had a great answer. It's you said execute, experiment, right? Execute, experiment, validate your hypotheses as quick as possible. And you guys at your accelerator, Alchemist Accelerator, you guys can help them do that more quickly. Can you explain and tell us a little bit more about how you help your startups iterate and experiment quicker as opposed to other accelerators?
Well, so I would say there's more of the nuance between what an accelerator and an incubator is, right?
Okay.
So in basic terms, an accelerator accelerates the process, where an incubator kind of incubates the team, the idea, lets you figure it out on your own time. So an accelerator, because we have this plethora of knowledge gained over the years, we're able to tell you, or basically in a single conversation, we're able to look and say, this is where you are based off of our pattern recognition. This is where we think, you know, what you need to change now, like the warning signs, the red flags. This is what you need to change now, so that we can put you in a better path to success come demo day. And of course, demo day isn't the end all for your company, but for most, you know, accelerators, a demo day is your first exposure to the VC community.
Yep.
And saying you're open for institutional funds. And so we need to make sure you do all the right things to set yourself up for success come demo day.
Okay.
And, you know, so I would say that is, that's one of the stronger benefits of being able to go to someone and have them look at you and basically give you a scorecard and say, this is where you're at and this is where we need to go. And I have been blown away by the transformations that I have seen in 6 months. You know, and sometimes a startup doesn't want to listen to us, and that's totally fine. They need to come to it on their own terms. But I've heard it more times than not that I should have listened to you sooner. You know,
you gotta like that though.
No, I mean, it's great, but of course we wouldn't have wanted them to waste the time, right?
For sure.
But we don't force our companies, they're, you know, to do what we want them to do. All we can do is provide the advice and then support them in their decisions. Other accelerators are different in how they do that, but at Alchemist, we're not paternalistic. We give them, we voice our concerns, we tell them, you know, what we think they should make changes to, and then we start helping them pace according to whatever path they want to take.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. What a great opportunity. If there's anyone out there and you have some great ideas, this is why we do this. We want to know the money. We want to know the people behind the money that they're giving out, and more than just the money. We want to know who they are, their character, their personality, their services they offer. And Danielle, you're doing an awesome job really communicating all this. Last question, which is it's a kind of a tough question, but it was intriguing to me because it was one of the last questions that you were asked at AWS Startup Day in April 23rd of 2018. Someone asked you about what it takes to succeed in these startups, and you said hustle. You said hustle is what is necessary. Now, a lot of people can answer this way, but you had an interesting qualification, Danielle. You said hustle. I see it in very few founders actually these days. Now, that was back in 2018. Do you still believe that today? And if so, why is it that you have all these people, not that people believe, all these companies, this class of 25 companies, let's say, founders, and you're not seeing the hustle that you'd like? Help explain this conflict, this dissonance that we have here. That you have all these people that have these great ideas, are passionate about it, but you said in plain speak, hustle. I see it in very few founders, actually.
Yeah. There are a lot of great ideas out there, and most people will tell you that it all comes down to execution. So a lot of you know, you can have a company or start founders that are hustlers with a mediocre idea versus an awesome opportunity with founders that aren't that great succeed for the very reason that they will not take no for an answer. They will find whatever means necessary, and by that I don't mean, you know, unethical. I just mean they will climb every mountain, turn over every rock before they say, okay, this isn't working. You know, it's for them, and I'm sure you've met some of these types of people, you just see it in their eyes. Like, there is no other path for them. This is the only path, and they are going to do whatever they need to succeed.
Sometimes when I look in their eyes, I wonder if it's insanity.
It definitely is. And that's why I said you have to be a little crazy to do this, because if you're looking at this and going, gosh, there are so many other ways, you know, but
there's got to be a little bit of crazy in you then, Danielle, to be kind of like the mother coach, the mother, you know, the life coach to help all these through. What keeps you in the game, Danielle?
I like to think my superpower is simplifying chaos. So I don't have to be as crazy as them. I actually try to mold the chaos in a way that makes them take off faster. if that makes sense. Because sometimes there's so many ideas, they're all over the place. They just need a little more focus. And that's what I feel like I provide in guidance, to kind of guide the crazy. So it has a focus funnel. And then once they know what they need to do or get done, they are off and running. And, you know, those types of companies, they continue to blow me away with what they're able to do. Where some other companies, if they get, you know, if you start thinking about other options, right? Like if you already start thinking in your mind, like, well, if this doesn't work out, then I can do this, or this. You've kind of already defeated yourself, because it needs to be in your mind that there is no other option. You know, I don't see that in a ton of companies, but I'm always very humbled by the ones that I do meet.
That's awesome. I love the way that you said that, Danielle. Your superpower is simplifying the chaos, and guiding the crazy. And on that note, guys, we will end this episode of VC Hunting with me and Danielle D'Agostado, managing partner and CEO of Alchemist Accelerator. And you guys can check them out at alchemistaccelerator.com. Thanks so much, Danielle, for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sometimes I feel like I need a life coach. No, seriously. Sometimes I feel like I need a life coach. And Danielle D'Agostado with Alchemist Accelerator maybe she could be my life coach. Maybe she could be my life coach. I loved this conversation with Danielle, from a managing partner at Alchemist Accelerator, early stage B2B. I love the fact that she was so candid about her early education, finishing, by the way, just like me, finishing her undergrad in 2.5 years. Shows that she has assertiveness, initiativeness, and drive. She also loves helping out other people as a coach, a mentor, life coach, right? Maybe she could be my life coach and help me figure out a couple of the problems that I got in my life. But I also like the fact that she is a contrarian, right? And she started down in SoCal, moved up to NorCal for university, and ended up staying there, getting picked up by Ravi Balani from Alchemist Accelerator. She wanted to do marketing, but ended up finding out that her passions and her skills really were better tended towards helping other entrepreneurs and other founders live out their passions. And as you heard in the interview, maybe just making life just a little bit less crazy, right? What did she say? Her superpower was simplifying chaos, a guide through the crazy, a guide to the crazy. I also really loved her advice for young college graduates who had just finished college. Experiment. Go out there, try stuff, figure out what you're good at, what you want to do, experiment, live life a little bit. It makes a lot of sense, but it's great to hear that from time and time again. And I would even go farther, and I wrote this note down here. I would even go farther, is that even if you're 10 years into your career, you should continue to experiment, continue to try new things, continue to challenge yourself as an individual. And I think that really is part of the culture of the startup world. It's really the culture of entrepreneurship, is that you would never just accept the achievements that you've already achieved, but you want to go and break new records. You want to try new things. And I think these are the type of individuals that Danielle really enjoys helping. These individuals who have a passion, have a fire, have a little bit of crazy in their eyes, and they want to do something amazing. Well, if you're one of those types of individuals, and now you know just a little bit more about the people behind the money, right? Because we want to know the money here on VC Hunting. Maybe if you're an individual with passion, with flame, and a great idea, you should check out Danielle D'Agostado and Ravi Balani at Alchemist Accelerator. Maybe they can help you through their 25 individual class size classes. And maybe you could even go through their MBA for Startups, their 6-month program, so you guys can get your application, your company launched. What a great conversation. What a great conversation. I love the fact that she said, don't go alone at the very own. Don't go alone. I say that all the time. For any of you guys who've listened to my previous shows, my previous podcasts, I'm all about not going the road alone. So thanks everyone out there. I hope you enjoyed this interview and this conversation with Danielle D'Agostado just as much as I did. And if you want to find more information about her and her organization and all the information about all this, make sure that you find your way over to vchunting.com/Danielle D'Agostado. Thanks again, guys, for being here on this epic journey where we interview all sorts of entrepreneurs, founders, and especially VCs, so we can get the untold stories and learn about the money, learn about the people behind the money. We got some great people coming up, guys. I can't wait for you guys to enjoy the following conversations or the coming conversations. They're going to be awesome. We'll see you guys next time.